shops. Catch me at the toy shops. Catch me at the toy shops. Catch me at the toy shops. Man, I got toys mint on card. Toys out of the box. Man, I got toys in my detox.
The Titan, born from Eternals in plastic flesh. What you think about that? Look at this guy, man. Wow. This guy, the behemoth of Titans, the villain of villains, finally has come to Marvel Legends. And you know, I've always thought, well, if they ever did a Thanos in Marvel Legends, that he would look like the Marvel Select version, or close to that with just more articulation. But no. We happen to get the more modern version of Thanos. You can see this version of him in the Thanos Imperative, Thanos Rising, and a few other comics at your local comic shop. Or if you're the digital dude or download comics for free, whatever your deal is, check it out. Really cool version of Thanos. Now, I did pick this up from China because I couldn't wait, because I think it's the coolest character in the wave. Mine does have a few paint blemishes. I don't know if yours will when he comes in. However, the wave, not very exciting. You know, I don't care to have another movie Hulk, another movie Cap, and another movie Iron Man. I do care for Hellcat, Spider-Woman, and Batroc. That's all I care for. So I couldn't wait to get this guy. You can see the sculpting here, and the bottom torso flex goes all the way through this time. It goes all and it wraps around to the inside. Take a look at that, huh? That's good, man. That's good right there, man. So, this by far is the best version of Thanos ever. I like the Marvel Select Thanos, but this one here, with all the sculpt detail down to the legs, the fact that he's the modern version of Thanos, the articulation is a lot better than Marvel Select. This is the one to have. Absolutely. I would have liked him a little bit bigger. That's the honest truth, just because I've always pictured this guy as a behemoth, kind of Hulk proportion sized character. Here in the back too, a couple blemishes. That's probably from the mold release at the factory, so you can expect to see that. I mean, one of the only things that I would gripe about is the paint app. The paint apps on the plastic, for example, the gauntlets, this centerpiece. See the gauntlets, they're not that shiny gold that's on his chest or abdomen. Same thing with this, his skirt, the leg gauntlets, and the upper piece on his shoulders. They're kind of a flat plastic yellow look. And they didn't get that gold treatment that you see on his helmet or the front chest piece. See, it's just kind of a shinier gold, speckles of gold, compared to the, I guess, the plastic softer parts of the figure. Anyways, here he's on a disc peg ball joint. This piece pops off every once in a while, but it's not a big bother. He does look up quite a bit. See that? And he does look down. I'm so glad they put it on a disc peg instead of just a peg like some of the other characters. Now with the torso flex, you can get him to look all the way down, which is good. Click that back up. It's a good looking figure, man. I catch myself staring at it. Head does move side to side. Okay, now the head doesn't bobble like some of the other characters, you know, because I guess the head's loose on the peg. Here is the shoulder joint. Now it goes that far. You can, of course, manipulate it if you needed to go further, and that's where this piece, where I'm thankful that it's not glued on, because if it was glued on, you wouldn't be able to bring that arm any higher than to shoulder level. So that's a good thing. I'm glad that's not glued. Now he does have the bicep swivel. He does have a single jointed elbow. Now that, you know, those single jointed elbows kind of tend to bother me on the bigger characters. I wish that Hasbro would just think outside the box and be like, hey, there's not enough articulation, man. You know, his arm doesn't quite even go into the L position. But here's the gauntlets. They're not glued on, so you can twist those around. And the hand is on a disc peg ball joint, right? So you can go up and down and spin it around. It's got the fist on the right hand. Pop this back on. It tends to stay in place. Doesn't really bother me a whole lot, just when I'm really trying to pose him. Same thing with this arm. Here he's got the, I guess the grip arm. There's the gauntlet. It's loose. You can hold some necks with that grip arm, which is really cool. Here's the torso flex. It clicks once forward and it clicks once back. Then we've got the waist swivel, right? Now, okay, now, before we get into the bottom here, the skirt, now you can shift it up. It's not glued on. You can shift it up. And here's where this figure looks like it's got tons of articulation. And at first sight, you're like, wow, this is a fully articulated Thanos. But it's hard to get him in certain positions. And that T-joint, unlike the Bucky Cap mold, that T-joint doesn't quite work the same with this big fella here. He doesn't seem to kick forward as high, okay? So I really had to kind of push that skirt up and push those legs up to get him in a decent sitting position. Now, why would I want him in a sitting position? Why would you want him to do that? What's important? Well, this character, I want to build a throne for him. So it's important that he's able to sit, because if he's not out kicking ass, he's on his throne dictating shit, you know, telling people what to do, or, you know, surfing the skies in his ship and calling shots. But, you know, bending it looks a little awkward if I bend the torso back. So I bend the torso forward when putting him in a sitting position. And that kind of gets him into a decent sitting position. I mean, you can manipulate it. Thank goodness the knees are double jointed, and he's got those good joints on the feet, because it does help once you get him in a sitting position. But it's not quite an owl position. You know, I would have liked to have gotten his knees higher, you know, so it's like an L shape, because I know whatever I put him on, he's going to be sitting a little awkward, so I'm going to have to tailor the chair to his body or his articulation, which kind of sucks. And there's a really big issue I have here. So here's the thigh swivel, right? Look, here's the issue I have, and I did pull on these, all right? I pulled on them quite a bit, you know. You can tell I'm putting some force there. See my hand shaking? I'm really pulling on that, man. And that thing, I can't get him to do the splits. That's as far as you can get him to split. So even though there's a T-joint there, his legs don't go out like the Bucky Cap mold. Like, you know, Bucky, you can get him to do splits. You can on this guy. So it's kind of weird. Like, why put that articulation of a T-joint if you're not going to fully take advantage of it? You know what I mean? If you're fully not going to be able to get his leg all the way up or all the way out. That's as far as it goes back, which is normal. That's as far as you can get it forward, and that's as far as you're going to go on split. So that's disappointing. So once again, he looks articulated, really, like he's really well articulated, but he's really not that articulated, you know? I mean, you can't have it all. Like I said before, you can't have it all. Those double jointed knees work well. There's a calf swivel. Now, unlike the gauntlets and the upper pieces that aren't glued on, the leg gauntlets are glued on to the calf. And here is the calf swivel pivot with forward and backward. Let's get into some size comparisons. I know you guys are dying to see how big this guy is. So here he is next to the Luke Cage Sentry mold, right? Bucky Cap machine mold, and one of our older molds, which is the Iron Fist, which was used for Spider-Man on the previous waves. So he's a pretty big dude. So this is where the size contemplating comes in. You know, like I would have liked him just a little. In my opinion, I would have liked him just a little bit bigger. But at the same time, he's not really a bad size, so it'll work. You know, some people in the comics draw him around this size, and some people draw him a little bit bigger. However, I like him on the bigger side. Here he is next to Thor. He's kind of just a tad bit bigger than Thor, but not as big as Odin. Now, when you face him off with Thor, you can see he beats Thor by a bit. So, I mean, it can work. You know, there's been a few times in the comics where Thor is almost as big as him, which is right. Odin has been drawn a few times the size of Thanos. Well, here you go, guys. Yes, get him. Yes, he's the best version of Thanos. There's a few issues, but man, he is the best Build-A-Figure Thanos I have ever seen. Go get you some!